I know it kind of sounds messed up. A lot of people, like every time I've ever talked, like said this, they're always like, "Oh yeah, but man, you shouldn't, feel that way or think like that." But the only times that even when I was on the street and I didn't have nowhere to go and no one around, I could sit there and tell you that I felt better. I felt good that I was not around my mother. And it sucks because there's so many years in that time period where there was a lot of good memories, but they were always with my brother. Like I could literally like only see that, like everything else around has always like blocked out. Like I don't even remember half of the stuff of my life during those years. And the other things that I do remember is like bad things, like my stepfather beating my mother all the time, almost running her over by a truck one time, my grandparents coming in the house and beating my stepfather with a gun, drugs all the time, piles of drugs everywhere in the house, things like that. The things that I wasn't supposed to see as a kid those are the only memories. And then, like, I remember that when she kicked me out at 12, and yeah, there was a lot of times where I was scared. I was 12 years old, come on, like, and, sleeping in places where I was never comfortable. Like, I mean, who the heck would be comfortable sleeping on a park bench or underneath the damn bridges where I look sometimes at homeless people, and I'm like, damn, I was there. Like, I was just a lot younger. I shouldn't have been there, But I see it, and I'm like, it's not like I feel pity, but I just know, I feel like I know how they feel. It's like a mutual feeling. Like I feel balanced with that person, even though I don't know their life story. But I just know that they're there for a reason, and whatever it wasn't something good. And but I could tell you that during that time, I was able to find myself for who I wanted to be and who I really, like, it's like I look at it sometimes, and I look at my mom, I'm like, man, you don't know how much of a justice you gave me, to get away from you, to be able to be myself, because I saw it, like, in my younger brother who lived with her all the way up until he passed away. Like, he became like her, and he was so much like her that it, like, basically hurt him in many ways. And like, everybody around me tells me, you would have been more like your mother if you would have been really raised around her, because when we were kids and everything, she was barely around. She would work, and when she was around, it was like we weren't really around her because she was really doing bad things, or like, things had bad happening. So, but I felt free, but of course, like, scared and like alone all the time. And I guess that's why I'm okay with change and okay with not keeping too many close relationships. Or if I have a lot of good friends, but I'll talk to them maybe like once or twice a year. We have social media. I don't really care for social media. Like, I'm just but I do like the surrounding of good people. And, but I just know that all the negative stuff, yeah. A couple years ago, I let all that go. If you're around me and you're negative or you have too much drama, like, I don't even want to hear you or see you.
So when we talk about weight loss, we're often put on a diet. So what's the word diet actually mean?
Diet is just the way that you're just watching what you eat.
It's just your daily intake.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we need a diet or a gastric bypass or any of the number of plans that doctors put us on, what they're basically talking about is watching your daily intake. But if we know that diet and weight gain is actually related to issues in the womb, issues in relationships with our parents, specifically the mother, isn't it a healthier diet to be very clear about our daily intake with the people that are causing these issues. You have an issue with protection. At 12 years old, you were thrown out on the streets, right? This is an obviously relationship issue with your mom. The diet that is probably most necessary or prescribable is the one about how much daily intake and contact do you have with the people that are contributing to you having to protect yourself and create a protection around your sex organs and around your, in case I fall. Who are those that kick you down that you need such extra padding? That's the diet. And the protection issue is not feeling safe. So whether it's financial or whether it's just limiting the time with the person. The diet here that we're really looking at is a diet of lessening or boundarying the appropriate times and places and ways to be with that individual or those individuals that cause all this trauma to come forth. Because the trauma's still there. It's still stored in the cells. It comes up every time you're together.
Yes, every time I get. So it's crazy. Every single time I'm around her, and the crazy thing that you're saying right now is that when I'm not around my mother, like let's say I don't see her for the next 3 days, right? I'll actually eat, I'll eat healthy, I love healthy food, it's crazy, I love vegetables and salad to the point where my kids are always like, hey, how do you make that? But then when I'm around my mother, or I fight with my mom, which is every single time, I'll want to eat all the crap, or sweets. I can eat sweets all day long without eating 1 ounce of any type of other food. And I know it's not good, but
It's not.
Because your mom's nutrition was shit.
yeah. And I know
The
that.
nutrition your mother gave you was shit. Nutrition issues are always linked to mom. So when you don't eat well, you're honoring and agreeing with her that you don't deserve health in whatever form that is. But when you're nurturing yourself, I don't know, let's draw a pocketbook or whatever, your grocery bag from Publix. This is you giving yourself nutrition.
Yeah, like that. And even when I buy groceries, it's always healthy food.
Of course,
I
because
always go out of my way to leave the house to go get crap, when I fight
Of
with her.
course, because for you, you are allowed this. Any diet related to your mother must consist of shit. That is how we punish ourselves and we self-sabotage. Because this is our #1 form of nutrition, is what our mothers gave us. And you and me and so many other people. Whether we have a disorder, whether we just struggle with weight, whether you're an actual anorexic, bulimic, or obese, the first source of nutrition is the breast. If they gave it, if they took it, if it was injected with cocaine, if they gave you Mountain Dew, if they threw some Cheerios, in that time, we are getting our entire framework of what this has permission to be consisted of. This becomes whether we self-hate or self-love. And then we can see it in the food choices that we make. I will go and self-destruct with food. You too?
No, I was going to ask something. Could it be also that on that time frame where you gain the weight, it's when you start eating bad stuff, and that also made the weight go higher than what you wanted it, because it's related to the cycle of having the bad food or
No,
for the nutrients.
no, actually
I
during
didn't
that
understand
time,
the question.
like, I actually, for all, like, my years, and even up until I even met my husband, I never ate sweets in my life, like, nothing bad. I started after that cancer, after my cancer, because even during my cancer, I barely was around my mom. I actually didn't even tell her when I was getting operated on. She would get pissed that I wouldn't tell her stuff, and I would always tell her, like, what do you care? She's like, you want to care now? When I was in the street, you wouldn't even worry about me. I could have been dead. You didn't even care. And literally, like, I got, like, as far as my health went, my cancer went away and everything, that was all good. It was like the medication was where I started gaining a lot of weight. But even after that, I had lost some weight. I had lost maybe like 20 pounds, like right after I was cleared of cancer. But during that same time, I went back around my mom. And
Well, so
from
what
there,
I
it's
think
been-
I hear Pedro asking is it the impact of poor choice of food that is leading to the weight gain?
During that time frame, because from what I understood, it was at that time frame you gained the 85 pounds.
yeah, but it was because I was on oral chemo. And during, for the oral chemo, like all the medications I would take, I don't know, every single time I would go to the doctor, it was the same thing, like, oh, this medication right here is gonna, you know, you could gain anywhere from this amount to this amount, or every single prescription. I was taking 23 pills a day, 3 times a day.
So consciously and at the physical level,
I think I was just listening
there's
to what
a
the doctor was
response.
saying, oh, you're gonna
the
gain that weight,
doctor, the pill is done for this, but there is
okay. Yeah,
a subconscious response of why. And if we think of illness, illness is one of those times that we're able to be taken care of. I was in the hospital yesterday, I'm freezing, I'm so tired, I'm laying in the gurney. My mom's like, you know, touching my hand to soothe me. I'm so cold. One of the nurses comes and she like wraps me like this little taco. And I'm all, you know, cozy and stuff like that. And if I think of this, like when in my life has this happened? Never. Never. There just isn't a time. And so oftentimes it's the illness. It doesn't have to be as drastic as us, you know, where we're getting la sopita, where we're getting a little bit of attention, where we're getting something.
Yeah, that's true.
And that is directly related to nutrition, because when you're born and you're swaddled, and whether it's the milk or the bottled, you're getting sought after.
It's crazy because even when you're in the hospital for so long, like every time I've been in the hospital for weeks, like each time, like it doesn't even bother me when the people come in every hour on the hour, you know, and you're like finally dozing off and you're like, because they walked in the door to check on your pressure and everything. It's like, I feel like, wow, you know, at least someone's checking on me.
Exactly,
You know? So it's like,
exactly, and she has so many years of never having that.
yeah.
So there is a need or a necessity for the illness. And obesity is one of these real interesting things, because when we're obese, we don't have permission to get detached from the mother. This is what creates this narcissistic temperament in the person. If my mom is happy because I brought her good grades, what does the child think? That what?
That she's happy with you and
You gotta keep.
You did your job.
Right.
Well, you might keep doing it, that you're making her happy, that it's your job, that you now have a purpose.
Or with the child.
if you come home to mommy and you bring her an A, and she says, Pedro, great job, you're like, oh my God, she's happy. Next day, your mom gets home, she's angry, frustrated, traffic, dad and her got into a fight, and you bring her another grade that's an A. Oh, Pedrito, oh, maybe gives you a cookie, maybe hugs you, oh my God, I love you, you're the greatest. That starts developing in our psyche this idea that we are needed, this idea that we matter. Okay, we sort of become important. Okay, and if we're not important, that becomes a problem. And so that is why food, the boob, caretaking, these type of fields create narcissists. Because we want to serve so we can feel good. And oftentimes it has nothing to do with the client. It has to do with yourself. And food and added weight is one of those ways that we protect ourselves. So when you tend to see people with overweight or body image issues, especially in certain areas, one of the things that you can do is you can just sit there, ask him quietly to ask that body part why it needs that extra weight. I remember when I did that, it was so fast. Well, because you're going to fall on your ass, Francis. I mean, it was like the quickest response. We're all in this room, you know, soft music, and my response came like, and this must have been around like last September or October. Little did I know how badly I was going to fall on my ass. But obviously my subconscious knew. And I started noticing my ass getting fatter and fatter. And my daughter would be like, Mom, you're slim thick, that's in. That's sexy. And I'd be like, ew, because I don't come from slim thick. I come from the 80s when you're twigs with, you know, a coconut tree. And I was like, stop calling me slim thick. But the minute I asked the body, it was so I would fall on my ass and not get hurt. It is going to the place that it needed to go. And so if we spend some time and we allow the client to answer that. And the other thing is, how many pounds must you lose or would you like to lose? Not what the doctor said. How many pounds would you like to lose? Would you be comfortable losing? There's something in there. I would like to lose 20 pounds. 20 pounds. That's not an accident because my kids are 19 years old. So 20 years ago, I was pregnant and I would have done everything different. So those 20 pounds have to do with time that I'm never going to get back. Like that woman who wasn't going to carry her 50-pound scuba gear, so she put it on her weight. So when you ask the client for them to determine, not with the doctor, then you can start asking what happened 20 years ago, what happened when you were 20, what does the number 20 have a significance of? 2 is a partnership number. And you just start investigating and the question and the answers flow. Sometimes you might discover that the person shared a twin and the twin died. That's one of the reasons they hold on to added weight.
Oh, am I going to?
And I'm 99.999% sure that I was too.
Yeah, because I do exactly what you said, that they like that. I buy everything the same. I like if you look at all my stuff, it's like the same, just different colors.
Yeah.
I buy like 2 of everything. Yeah.
But these weight issues are directly related to the mother, because nutrition is food. Yes.
You were saying when you to let our mind answer. What if it's just your mind answering and not the part of your body you're trying to get an answer from?
Well, that can always happen, but you start with that. You don't judge it. You know,
So then.
that's why I say don't think the first thing that comes.
Yeah, like my mind was blank, and then that's the first thing that came to my head.
Most of us, the first thing that comes, we judge it. And then we say what the mind wants to say because it's appropriate. That I can tell you is the mind. Go ahead, I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna ask, obviously, different ways to try to go about this, like closing your eyes, asking questions. Do you also recommend, I don't know, taking a break from whoever gets you upset or whoever gets you to eat the bad food, like taking maybe time apart? Like, 'cause she said, every time she sees her mom, she gets, she feels like she needs to eat the bad food. So would maybe taking a little bit of time away from the mom, try to just calm things down. But I don't know, honestly, I don't know you, I don't know anything. I don't know how your relation is with your mom. You said it's always conflicting, but I don't know, maybe a week apart. Just
Oh, no, yeah, no, I used to always be like that. I was always distant from her. Like, my brother was always the closer one. My older brother and me have always been distant from my mother. But after my brother passed away, because she's the one that found him, for some reason, I don't know why, I guess because my younger brother would fight with me sometimes, like, don't fight with mom, don't yell at her and stuff like that, because regardless of what, she is your mother, and she didn't, like, throw you into a garbage can or whatever, or abort you or whatever. That I guess, because to live up to him, I was trying to, like, comfort her and, like, to be there for her, but man, it's not, like, it doesn't help me in any way. And either which way, it's not helping her. And I've noticed that. And then, like, lately, what I've done is, like, when I have gone around her, like, I went around her this Saturday. I took her to Vizcaya with me and the kids. We fought, okay? Like, at Vizcaya, and then we fought in the car. And not for anything bad, it's like, I can't say anything to her. Like, she's telling a story to my kids, and then I'll be like, oh, yeah, I know about that stuff, too, because, whatever. I told her, oh yeah, because one of my friends, used to do the same thing. It's something stupid that she was talking about. And she's like, oh my God, you don't let me talk. And like, she makes this big show, and like, I'm just like, what the heck, we're in Vizcaya, like, But, and then in the car, the same thing, and like, she'll put me down and like, start telling me to shut up, or like, because she always says that as the last word. She's one of those people. And luckily, I'm just like, okay, fine. And I just turn on the music. Like, because I'd rather avoid just having to keep hearing her. But lately I've even gotten to the point where I think I've tried to talk to her more because I want to find out stuff about myself. Like the other day you were asking her about how, how were you conceived? Man, I don't even know a lot of stories about myself, like of those times. Because my mom, like when I try to ask her, she gets mad. Or like this weekend during Vizcaya, I was asking her about like the whole time about my dad and like what made you move down here to Florida, like you just took off with my father and that gave us a chance, to even be around my dad. And, but of course I can't say it like that either because she'll flip. So I have to be all nice about it and ask, what was the reason? Did you maybe have a job down here or something? And she was like, oh, why are you asking so many questions? Like, you don't need to know about that. And then I'm like, what, forget it, I'm not even gonna ask anything else. And I try to avoid things with her, and I try to make peace. Like, I don't like to argue or fight like that at all, or yell. I'm actually the one that you'll never hear me yelling. She's like screaming on the top of her lungs, even in my car. Like, you know what it is to have somebody sitting next to you and they're screaming on the top of their lungs? I used to get really frustrated and like nervous and stuff, even though, like I used to, after years, I got like that. But before that, man, I used to fight back with her and like, curse her out.
A diet might be a good idea. And I'm always a proponent on boundaries. Some people will choose to separate from their parents for weeks, months, years.
I need that.
That's a cultural, a religious, a personal decision. As a therapist, that's not our job to tell a client. If a client brings it up, you can have obviously the conversation, and there are some places that might warrant a good 2-year break or whatever.
You want to listen to what the patient's, the patient is saying, the idea that that person is coming up, you want to tell them, oh yeah, try that.
Right, or, help them find something that works, because it may not be realistic. Remember, clients tend to be extreme. We want to eliminate pain so badly that we like to just go to extremes. And that isn't always the answer. So yesterday I had a client, and she's like, I go, wow, you feel really tired, and you feels like you need some rest. And she's like, yeah. She goes, I told my parents I want to go on vacation. I want to live like I'm on vacation. And I was like, okay. And so we're talking, and it's one extreme to the other. So I asked her, what was the value system around work that you were given in your childhood? And she's like, the purpose of life is to work. Okay, so that is what she's struggling with. Now she wants to live like she's on vacation. That isn't real. That person will go crazy. After 3 days, she's going to be like, oh my God, I need my job back. So we spent the session making small steps where her life can be in balance. And it's the same thing. Now, there are going to be times that perhaps warrant a dramatic break-off. And of course, the danger, first and foremost, the therapist, the client are going to determine. But if it's just situations where your parents just don't listen, or they aggravate you, or they create you to make poor choices that are harming, there are ways to go on a diet from those people, and not only your parents, so that you, and those are boundaries, where you set clear boundaries. These are where you have contracts with yourself of what you will and you will not accept. The first screaming, I'm sorry, but I'm calling you an Uber, an example. The first moment that there's an insult about my weight, I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you to leave. Or we must go in 2 cars together because our track record shows that we fight a lot, and I don't want that around my kids. So those sort of diets, those boundaries, we start small, are the things that can start at least helping the client to start taking some power over the situation.
Yeah, that's what I have to do, because I'm constantly sending her home, or just dropping her off, and basically tucking her all out my fucking.
Right, but you're still in role of mother.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You're still in the role of mother, and that is one of the biggest dysfunctions of people with eating disorders, is that you are in the role of the parent. That the parent's the child, and you're the adult.
Yeah.
That is why sometimes, an illness like cancer is required in hopes of rewriting that you can become the child and that person can become the caretaker. Doesn't always work that way. But that's one of the subconscious attempts to, these illnesses.
I've just gotten to the point where I feel like I have to get away from her. Have to, because lately I've been feeling like if I continue like this with her, I don't fight, I don't even fight with her. As soon as she starts getting like that, I'm right away okay, I'm sorry. And I'll put the music really low so she'll calm down, and she'll continue. And even my kids are like, Mom, she's gonna keep doing that. Why do you, you're doing this to yourself? And the other day I had to turn around after we left her. I had to turn around and tell my kids, damn, you guys are right, I'm jinxing myself, But I'm getting to the point where lately I've been feeling like if I continue like this, I'm gonna get sick again. I'm already feeling like I'm sick, and there's a couple health things that came up in my blood work, and I'm still waiting on some other results. And I don't want to feel that. I don't want anything else to happen. I want to be, just good and be there for my, you know, for my kids and for my husband. I just, and what's crazy is my little bubble that I have with just me and the kids and my husband and like whatever, you know, good friends that we have that come around. I'm great, but when she comes, it's like hell, and I can't. I feel like suffocated, you know, like it's like I feel like if I'm getting choked and like I can't breathe anymore whenever she's around, and it's sad because I look at my kids and sometimes I'm like, man, you know, I would never want my kids to